Hey guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery discussion video for The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. As many of you may know, this is my favorite book of all time so far as of filming this. I have read it 2 different times now and absolutely love it, and now we can talk about that together. So as far as the world building, obviously I love everything about the circus. I love the color palette, I love all the foods that are talked about. I actually want to make some of them. I want to attempt to make some of the circus food because I love it so much. I love the way that people are dressing. I love the way that we have Celia's dresses explained to us. I love that the Revers wear red scarves, and I wish that I could wear a red scarf out and have people be like, are you a fan of the Night Circus? Because that is my dream. I want to create Night Circus themed parties. I am just absolutely obsessed with the world in here, obviously, and this entire book. That's what this whole video is about, me just gushing about this entire book. So since this is mostly a character-driven novel, let's talk about all the different characters that we experience. So I really love Celia and Marco. I said that in my review. A lot of people have problems with them and find them either annoying or just flat, but I found them so complex and so emotionally driven and flawed, and I absolutely adore them so much. Celia, as kind of the fiery girl with a temper, is just wonderful. She didn't really feel like she had to contain herself at all. She still had a temper even as an adult, and I absolutely adored that. And she really was the superior magician, in my opinion. She could do so much, and the fact that she doubted herself so much because of her father and her upbringing was so sad to me, but I absolutely loved how she really came into her own as an adult, and you really get to see all of her development all the way through from being a kid to being an adult, and basically having all of the Night Circus on her shoulders. Yes, Marco did have like the book and stuff, and he kind of held together in his own way too, but she was really making it work on a day-to-day basis, and that is insane to think about. Speaking of that, I know that the magic system in here is a little bit kind of vague, but I actually liked that about this story. I think not having any kind of boundaries on the magic and kind of making anything possible was completely perfect for this kind of situation. I didn't want to know how everything worked. I needed that to just be kind of a crazy, you can do anything magic system, and I really enjoyed how they both had their own separate specialties, and that working together towards a circus made them really blossom, and working together was how they really created the circus that was so beautiful and so magical that they couldn't have done if they were working separately. As far as Marco, I really like him as well. I don't love him as much as I love Celia, but I still really enjoy him. Actually, I've had a few friends who have read the book since I've read it because I've recommended it to everybody. My best friend, my dad, everybody that reads, I'm like, you need to read this book. So a lot of people have read it, and a lot of people say they don't like Marco because of what happened with him and Isabel. I don't care. You obviously know from the beginning that Marco and Celia are basically fated to be together. They have freaking rings from like the age of 5 where they are bound together, so I do not even care about that whole Isabel thing. He never once told Isabel that he loved her. She was obviously very enamored with him because he is so charming in the way that he is, but I don't think he really did that on purpose, and I don't think he expected everything to go down the way that it did, and I still really enjoy him as a character. And the fact that he did learn magic from basically books, and he didn't have an innate ability, the fact that you had magic but being an innate ability, but also being something you could learn within this world was really cool to me, and I did like him. I found him very flawed, just like Celia, but their flaws worked together, and I really enjoyed that. I also love how there are really no villains in this story. Yes, you could argue that the man in the gray suit and Prospero were the 2 villains, but I don't really think that they were. And I know that even towards the end, you're like, oh, you guys caused all of this and you're so awful, but at the same time, you get the implication that they have basically turned themselves immortal and have been around for a ton of years, so their morals are definitely a little more skewed than a normal human beings would be. And I don't think that they did what they were doing maliciously. It's like they didn't know that what they were doing was wrong and cruel, and the other characters even said, like, they have lost their touch on reality and they don't know that this is just an awful thing to be doing to people. And so I really kind of enjoyed that about them. I love that Prospero was basically turning himself invisible because he tried to do something that he couldn't do and was basically going invisible, which is the worst kind of death for somebody who likes to be in center stage. And I also really loved the man in the gray suit and how you kind of get slowly these kind of things where he's not as cold as people think he is, and all of his students he actually really loves, but he never really knows how to show them that. And at the end when he was talking and you kind of figure out that this whole story is really a story being told to him, I just really enjoyed that. I didn't find them villainous characters. Are they flawed characters? Absolutely, but no one is a villain in this story. I also really enjoy some of the characters that you get more in the future, like Poppet and Widget and all of those different things with Bailey. I really enjoy the fact that Bailey wasn't the chosen one. There's a line in here where Celia tells him, "I wish I could tell you that you were the chosen one and that this is fated, but you are here and you care, and that's why you're doing this." And I think that's a really important story to be telling, because you always have these books where someone is fated, someone's destined, someone's prophesied, and this was like, no, you are here and you care enough and we need you to do this for us. And that was like, wow, that's really how life works. It's not like, oh, this great master plan that everything fits together. No, a lot of times when something happens and you need to do something great, it's because you're there and you care about it. I also enjoy the fact that this was a very slow-moving story and that all of the things kind of intertwined and you didn't really know how everything was affecting other things and how Isabel's charms were affecting everything, so holding everything together. And Tsukiko, let me talk a second about Tsukiko. I found her so heartbreaking. You didn't really get a sense of her for the majority of the book. Going back on a reread, I loved her so much more, but that first read through, I wasn't really sure what to think of her, and then you get at the end that she was a past competitor and that her competition was somebody that she was also in love with and that she died, and you're just like, ugh, rip out my heart. Like, I would want an entire book or novella about that whole competition as well, because I find Tsukiko as a character very interesting, that she doesn't really live by anybody else's rules, and that she's very different. I really enjoy her. I, again, love all of the characters in this book. And that's why I didn't find the slowness of the story to be at all boring or anything. I always wanted to keep picking this book up. I always felt like I was being drawn in, and I absolutely adored it. So comment down below, let me know what you thought of The Night Circus, and if you have any other books that you feel have a very similar tone and atmosphere to it. I do have The Golem and the Jinny by Helene Wecker and Palace of Curiosities by I'm not sure whose name it is, because those are books that are kind of like The Night Circus supposedly, but if you have any more ones to recommend to me, please leave them in the comments below. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!